want to sit down and talk it out.
Good evening. At this time, I would like to call to order the April 2nd, 2014 meeting of the Milton School Committee. Please join me and stand and salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to ask that we take a moment of silence at this time in honor, in memory of the two firefighters from Boston that gave their lives, lost their lives this week, and in appreciation of our first responders everywhere. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Do we have any, I have a couple of additions and corrections to our meeting tonight, our agenda. Under the chairman's report, I would like to add the school committee calendar as requested by Mrs. Kelly. Under finance subcommittee, we will remove the acceptance of the Copeland Family Foundation, and we will remove both health and wellness and executive session from this agenda. Are there any other additions or corrections? Mrs. Kelly?
Do we have anything for finance subcommittee? Then we could just remove finance subcommittee.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, no further changes, and we'll accept the agenda as it's written. And at this time, we will have citizens speak. If someone could please grab that yellow piece of paper off that table and run it over to me, I'd appreciate it.
Thanks, Mr. Connors.
Thank you so much. Citizens speak. We're reminded that when you come forward, please give your name and address. And first up, we have Brian Kelly and Kathleen Reddy. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello. We're here to just tell you a little bit about the Run Again project. My name is Brian Kelly, 11 Hope Ave, Milton.
I'm Kathy Reddy from 47 Whitney Ave, Westwood.
And we've been working on a project that some of the Milton students are involved in, and we wanted to share that with you tonight. The project is called the Run Again Project, and it's a letter writing campaign to the marathoners from students in many of the schools in the area. And there's an accompanying song, poem song that my sister Kathy wrote that is a marathon anthem that is kind of is a motivational tribute to the runners of this year's marathon also. And so I just wanted to get the word out that next week on the 9th at 9 a.m. at Pierce Middle School, we're going to have the world premiere of the music video. And the song was sung by about 20 students from Pierce Middle School under the direction of Don Sykes. And so we brought them into a recording studio last week in Quincy, and they recorded the song, and now we're unveiling the song. And so hopefully we'll have it in a few days, and next Wednesday is when we're going to make it available to the public. There was a lot of media attention. All the major networks were at the recording studio, and there was a lot of press, and it was pretty exciting for the kids and everything. And but I'll tell you, the responses we're getting from the letters are just incredible. One fourth grader writing to the marathoners said, "You can run more miles than a cheetah on a sugar high." That's a fourth grader. And then a senior describes the fear of going back to lifeguarding after saving a child last summer, but being unable to save the child's grandfather after he suffered a heart attack in the water next to her. So the letters are all about perseverance and running again, continuing on in spite of tragedy, in spite of what happened. So we wanted to bring the focus back onto the runners, not that, because the runners, we believe, were also victims of the crime. And so Kathy, if you can just share with them how the whole project started with your chance encounter.
Okay. I met a marathoner the Friday after the marathon bombing. We were in a bakery and waiting, it's a popular bakery, so we were waiting in line, and naturally began a conversation because she had her marathoner's jacket on. She shared with me her backstory, her struggles to get through the New England winters, the physical issues that can come from falls or whatever when you are training, the personal challenges. She didn't get into any specifics, but said there were some. Then to get through all that and wonder all the time, am I going to do this? Am I going to get there? And then to get there and be all pumped up for it and then be stopped short of her goal, and then knowing family or friends are at the finish line, it was a frightening ordeal for them. And then on top of that, usually there's conversation about the marathoners afterwards, and there was limited conversation about the success and all that, because and naturally and rightfully so, because of what happened. And the focus was on the victims and the situation at hand, as it should have been. But we thought with this anniversary, it's a good time to put the focus on the marathoners. They're running for the city, they're running for the world. And
What happened in the bakery?
Oh, I'm sorry, I get a little carried away. So she got emotional when we were talking, and she asked me for a hug, and I just held this stranger until she got a grip. And she had said early in the conversation that she wasn't going to run again. That was her plan. That last marathon was going to be her last marathon. But as we were hugging, I could just feel her energy, and she said, I will run again. And she said those words, but what she said in those words and in her emotion at the time were the words that follow in the chorus that I wrote. And so I was moved by this woman's experience, and went home and I wrote about it. And I hadn't really been aware of the people in the bakery. I'd been so focused on the woman, and my daughter, who was actually, we let her perform with the Pierce middle schoolers, which was wonderful. I appreciate that. And she told me on the way home, Mom, everybody in the bakery was completely silent. Everyone was watching what was going on, and everyone could feel what was happening, and it was an emotional moment for everybody. So it just added to what I could write, and this is what's come of it, this whole project. So if you have any questions.
So how did it come about? So what happened after that?
Well, you can give a
Go
little.
ahead. Go ahead, you tell it well, when I called you,
Well, I'm not sure where you're getting.
about the music fest.
Oh, that's right, too.
Oh, I know.
She's only been talking to the national press, and she can't tell us.
It's more difficult to talk here. I'm only kidding. But Brian asked me just before your Milton Festival if I had written anything about the marathon, and I said I had started something, but I didn't think it was complete, because it was partly poem and partly the chorus. And I shared it with him, and he said, no, that's complete. He was so excited about it, he couldn't believe it. He just thought it was the right words, the right time, the right way. And he asked me if we could share it at the music festival. And of course, the middle school jumped right on board with the help of some wonderful people in this community, and got right on it and did a great job that night. And it really wasn't even edited at that point or anything. We've done a little editing since, but that's how quickly we had to do it. And they did a great job, and I was really happy to see that the papers felt it was a very poignant moment of the evening. And so Brian ran with it again this year. We lost.
I will run again.
Yes. We lost my mom in January, and we are well aware of the feelings of loss. And we thought this year, instead of focusing on the sadness, why don't we rejoice in the city overcoming and helping all those victims and make something really wonderful of this. And then the idea of the letter campaign came in, and we were like, these children are affected, whether we want to believe it or not. Our children are affected by our emotions, whether we shut off the TV or not. And so we felt like reaching out to the children and let them say how they feel. It's a little bit therapeutic, but it's also cheering on the runners. And is there anything else you'd like me to add, Brian?
No, I think you did just fine. So visit the website, therunagainproject.org, and tell your friends we'd like to invite the public to the We're going to have a rally at the Pierce Middle School as we unveil the music video. There's going to be free downloads of the song available to runners so they can train with it if they want. And what else did I want to say? And if you know a marathon, I'll let them know about it so that they can come to the school. I know Matt Brown, the gentleman that was hurt in a hockey game against Milton, the gentleman from Norwood, there's a person, Lucas Carr, who pushes him in the marathon, and they ran last year. I talked to him today, and they're coming next week. They want to hear the song, and they're excited about it. So it's just, it's been great, and there's a possibility that, we did get a call from the mayor's office, there's a possibility that the kids will have an opportunity to perform at Fenway Park at the tribute to the marathon the day before the marathon. That's not official. We haven't got the confirmation call yet, so if you're watching this and you're from the city of Boston, we're waiting for your call. So I appreciate you all listening, taking the time.
Can I leave it with this?
Sure, go ahead.
I just had to share that one of the fourth graders at the Roosevelt School said to the marathoner, "We can get through anything if we can get through all this snow."
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have, is it Matt McCorley?
Matt,
Matt McCorley, please.
no, Matt McCarthy,
Oh, McCarthy.
right here.
You don't look like McCarthy. I'm sorry.
I wrote that.
Sorry, Matt.
So I just wanted to talk briefly on the Relay for Life. This week, there's going to be a promotion held for spring. It's Spring into Action. You can use the promo code SPRING2014 between up until April 6th to receive 50% off. So the registration fee is usually $10, but this week, using the promotion code SPRING2014, it'll only be $5. And you can sign up at relayforlife.org/MiltonMA. And also, just for those of you that don't know what Relay for Life is or don't understand what we're trying to do here, Relay for Life is going to be held from 2 to 9 at the Copeland Fieldhouse in Milton. And we are going to spend the entire day walking around the track, remembering those we have lost to cancer and celebrating those who can be saved through cancer by our donations and our fundraising. It's going to be a really fun day. There's going to be a lot of different events, including survivor laps, survivor speeches, and also the Luminaria ceremony to remember those who have been lost to cancer. It's a great event for kids and adults. It works for all ages. So please, we'd love to see you May 10th. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Next, we have Melanie Davis, please.
Hi.
Good evening. Could you pull the microphone? It's close, please.
Sure. My name is Melanie Davis, and I'd like to take this opportunity to implore you to please include all children on the wait list in the French Immersion program. I have 3 children at Cuttingham. My oldest girl is in 5th grade. She's in French Immersion. My youngest girl's in 3rd grade, and she's in French Immersion. I also have one son in kindergarten. He did not get into the Cuttingham French Immersion program. He was drawn number 40 out of 42 for the lottery at Cuttingham, which would ensure us that there was no way he was getting into the program at Cuttingham. This was so upsetting to us, as he will still have one sibling at Cuttingham next year. He was number 2 out of 29 for the district, and based on this, my son will get a seat in French Immersion, although not at his home school. However, there are more families out there that potentially won't get seats at all, and this is incredibly unfortunate, as well as avoidable. I speak French with my girls at home, and it's part of our home life, and I can unequivocally attest to what an absolutely wonderful program you have created, and my girls have had the opportunity to experience. Please do not place limitations and exclusions on our family and children. You have the authority to create one auxiliary class to satisfy every family and child. There are so many of us affected by this that one class would satisfy it. Why would you deny these children access to learn another language when you already have the existing infrastructure and resources available? Please rethink this. You can. And please do not deny these families and children access to the most amazing opportunity you have worked so hard perfecting as your proven track record of success has indicated in the past regarding the French immersion program. Exclusion of education is not a better way, and it never will be. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next, we have Frank Schultz, please.
How's
Hello.
everybody doing?
Good.
Good. I'm Frank Schroth, 39 Avalon Road. I'm the editor of My Town Matters, and I'm here to alert you to the third year that My Town Matters is going to partner with the Milton High School debate team to host a forum for candidates that are up for election this year. It'll be April 12th at 2 o'clock at Fuller Village. I just don't have much more to say than that, except that I hope everybody will take advantage of the opportunity to educate themselves about these candidates, where they stand on these issues, and I do want to just say how proud I am to be a partner with the high school debate students, one of whom I believe is in the front row, Cormac Connors. He'll be joined with Chris DeCita. And it's a great opportunity. It's great for the folks at Fuller. It's open to the entire public. All the candidates, with the exception of one, have committed, so it should be a great event. And secondly, just to follow up on Mr. McCarthy, there will be a Cancer Schmancer team led by me. Anybody watching this who wants to join my team is more than welcome. It's a worthy cause that we fully support, and I expect it's going to be a very successful event. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Frank. And that April 12th date is a Saturday, just to clarify, right? Great. Thank you. Anyone else here for citizen speak? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the school committee meeting notes of February 25th, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Zulus, seconded by Mrs. Padera. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstained? That's 3-1 with Mrs. Kelly abstaining. Thank you. And we'll move to the superintendent's report. Ms. Gormley?
Thank you, Chairman Sheridan. First, I'd like to invite to the table Milton High School's Life Smarts team and their coach, Nancy Michaels. Will you join us at the table? Very, very exciting accomplishments to share. I'm going to ask Ms. Michaels to come right up to the front here and make the introductions. Welcome.
So, good evening.
Good evening.
This has come off?
Yes.
Super. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mrs. Michaels, and I am this year's coach of the Life Smarts team. And if you don't know about Life Smarts, it's sponsored by the National Consumers League, and it's an online competition to begin with. And you compete online by, first of all, practicing their daily quizzes and doing some practice online tests. And after that, there is a online test for the high school that you compete in, and based off of that, you get an invitation to the state competition. And we did receive it once again, an invitation to the state competition, and I'm going to turn this microphone over now to our captain, which is Jack Caljo, who has been with Life Smarts for 4 years, Jack? Yeah. 4 years, and he is definitely the strength that leads us to the Nationals, and I'm going to ask him to introduce the team and tell you some more about Life Smarts.
Okay, so I'll start off by introducing the team. I'm obviously Jack Caljo. I'm a senior, I'm a captain, and I suppose the rest of the team can introduce themselves.
I'm Chris Ricciuti, and I'm also a senior.
I'm Cormac Connors, and I'm also a senior.
Mary Mosayed, and I'm also a senior.
Albert Agnelli, and I'm the only junior on the team.
So I guess there's not much more I can say about Life Smarts. Ms. Michaels did a little bit too good a job introducing it, but it's basically an academic competition which focuses on consumer rights and just like preparing students for life later on. So I guess the name is pretty apt. There are 5 categories, and each of us kind of specializes in a category in order to do better at the national competition. My category last year was environment. My category this year is personal finance. And if everyone on the team wants to kind of introduce their category, that would be awesome.
My category this year is environment.
I'm specializing in consumer rights and responsibilities.
Mine is health and safety.
I do technology.
Okay, so and even though everyone kind of specializes in a category, the questions at the competition are on anything. So that's something that we work on kind of like weekly by having practices where we just do buzzer play, because the competition at states and at nationals is mostly a buzzer competition, kind of like Jeopardy, where you face against other teams from different states or different districts.
We all know that we would not be going to this competition if it wasn't for our superintendent, Mary Gormley, who we are so grateful for, because she, as soon as we made it, started the fundraising, because there were no funds this year from National Consumers League. And I don't even know how many emails, Mary, you sent. And I know what hours of the night it was, but I will not say here. And I know there was people from the school committee that were influential in getting us the funding. I know parents were influential, the letters came in, and we honestly can't thank you enough. So please know that we're very, very humbled for the support that we had and very grateful for that. And I'm going to ask the students now to quiz you and maybe give you a two, and let's just see where the talent.
The school committee members, right?
No, you're here.
Did it?
Yeah, that's good.
Oh,
Can we turn ours off?
Just don't hold it so close to your mouth.
Is this working?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'll start off by asking the first question. So this is a question on consumer rights and responsibilities. Which federal credit law requires lenders to make credit available without discrimination in regards to race, color, religion, or other factors?
Could you repeat the question?
That stalling technique does not work.
I can Google it.
I would have brought buzzers up had I known this was going. Help me, sis.
I know there is one.
Does
that help?
I don't know the name.
Sorry.
Multiple choice.
Anyone in the audience know the answer?
Can we pass?
There we go.
We do.
Oh, tell us.
The Fair Lending Act?
Close. It's the Equal Credit Opportunity Act.
So nice.
We have another consumer rights question.
Because we did so well in the first one.
Which federal credit law establishes procedures for resolving billing disputes on your credit card?
Mr. Zulus, you're a lawyer.
I don't have any credit card issues. Shouldn't finance be able to answer?
Anyone? Anyone?
How about the
Bueller?
same law as the last question?
Close. The answer is the FCBA, the Fair Credit Billing Act.
Zero over 2.
Should we mix it up? Different category? Different category?
Thank you, Cormac.
What does COBRA continuation health coverage begin? Or when, sorry. When does COBRA continuation health coverage begin?
Oh, ding, 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 ding. When you change jobs and your current or your previous insurance has run out.
Correct.
Yes.
You can't go to Orlando with that.
That's my question. It's up to you to get the rest of them. No.
I knew that one, though. I should credit.
This one's kind of off of that one. Aside from terminated employees, name one other group of people who may qualify for COBRA health coverage.
Their family?
Yes, correct. Retirees, the employee's spouse or former spouses, and the employee's children.
Side of the table right here.
We have substitute members here if somebody can't go to Orlando.
I think I'm going to switch it up as well. Sorry.
That's good.
So this one's about technology. And I guess I held the mic too close. So, talking on your cell phone, talking to the person next to you, reaching for something you've dropped. These are 3 most common distractions for people doing what?
Driving.
Driving.
You got the new freshman.
You don't have real big.
Did you want to cover anything else, Ms. Michaels?
I just want to say we leave for Orlando, Florida on April 26th to the 30th, and we'll be tweaking and doing all kinds of things. You can follow us on Facebook. And just want to say thank you again for your support. It was just a wonderful thing, so thank you very much.
We're very proud of you. Congratulations.
Well done. Next, I'd like to invite another Milton High School student, Brendan Hunt, who is for his senior project, Brendan? Senior project, Run for Red Nation, and I'll have Brendan explain the project under the tutelage of Mr. Fitzgerald, in collaboration with Mr. Fitzgerald.
Before I start, I'm just going to pull up my...
Of course. Do you want the lights dimmed?
Okay.
Thank you. Welcome, Brendan.
It's not projecting it. Push the button on the top.
So I'd like to start by thanking you guys for inviting me back. I was here about a month ago with the Milton High Site Council, and I kind of just mentioned it. So the Run for Red Nation, as Ms. Gormley said, is my senior project. I found out we weren't having a walkathon, and I wasn't a big fan of the sports and clubs not having the funding that they're normally accustomed to. So with the help of Mr. Fitzgerald and Mr. Rooney and administration, I'm putting together the Run for Red Nation, which is a 5K fun run and walk that'll raise money for sports and clubs. I don't have an exact agenda, so feel free to ask any questions if you have any. So the race is on April 13th, which is just 11 days away. It's kind of scary. As of this morning, I have 127 registrants. I have a little over $4,600 raised. I expect both of those numbers to be doubled by next week. I think a lot of the high school students are kind of waiting until the last minute, as high school students do. But just the website I made is runforrednation.webs.com. Here you can find information about the race. You can register, you can donate, you can see the list of sponsors we have. There's also a helpful tips page if anybody needs a little bit of encouragement. And contact us, which is just contact me, basically. That's about all I have to say about it, if there are any questions.
So Brendan, for citizens viewing the school committee tonight, they can go online and make donations online?
They can. You can, if you go to the donation tab, you can make a donation with your credit card. It also explains how to send a cash or check donation as well, so.
And I think that many people remember that, chaired by school committee member Kristen Bagley Jones, for several years, we've had the walkathon. And so when the walkathon wasn't going to happen this year, I want to thank you for stepping up and initiating this project, taking it on as your senior project, taking total responsibility for what we all worked very hard on, led by school committee member Kristen Bagley Jones and Laura Kessler and several other parents. So I want to congratulate and thank you on behalf of your peers, and this will help fund clubs and activities and athletics at Milton High School.
Thank you.
Mrs. Padera?
I just want to highlight for Brendan that, because I sent him an email, he sent me a nice email back, that you can bring your dog as a walker or a runner at the back, and actually you have an award for that, don't you?
I do. I have a top dog award.
That's right, and I'm going after that award. My dog is fast. My kids might be left behind, but me and my dog. So I think, I just wanted to highlight that because it's a great opportunity. And that was the only reason I got my young kids to run, because they're excited about running with a dog. And there's walkers, and walkers are welcome, and, you know, it sounds like a great event.
Thank you.
Is there a deadline where the price changes or race day?
There's not. You can register at the event itself. It'll still be the same price as it is now, so.
And for those who might not be able to run or walk or attend, you're accepting donations.
I am.
And it's a Sunday, is that right?
Yes.
And what's the route?
It's the same one as the Milton Road Race or the Best Buddies 5K. Just starts and ends at Cunningham, so.
Great.
Is there a link to this on the Milton PS site?
Are we linked in from the website? If we're not linked in from our website, we'll be linked in the morning. How's that?
I don't think we are, so that'd be great.
I'll take care of that in the morning. I should have taken care of that before.
Thank you.
Good point, Mr. Zulus.
And then one question I have, like, if someone isn't able to be there, can you sponsor a runner? Like, can you sponsor like a specific person's reach, or is it like you just donate to the event?
On the registration site, you can start a fundraising page which you can email out to friends and family, and you can donate to that runner. So
okay,
that answers your question.
Thank you.
So Brendan, to Mrs. Kelly's point, the race kicks off at Cunningham Park?
The bib pickup and stuff like that is in the cafeteria of Cunningham Elementary.
Great.
So it'll start right on Edge Hill.
Great.
Very exciting. And you've already raised $4,500?
Yes.
And what's your goal? Just 10,000?
That's what I made in the beginning, but I'd obviously love to go above it. So
Yeah, I think we need to make that higher. Good work.
thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so
Great
much.
work.
That's great.
Thank you, Brendan. Next, I'd like to invite to join the school committee, the Collycott School Site Council. Would you join us at the table? And I would ask Principal Janet Sheehan to make the introductions. Welcome. Dr. Pavlicek signaling. Do you want the lights on or off, Janet?
Maybe just one more light on, the other's
Okay.
off. I think we just need a little more light. Possible to have a little less? I asked too much, I think I am. We'll see how, well, yeah, let's see.
So you want the lights, Mr. Redden, could you ask if the lights go down a little?
The projector.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good.
No, I think this is fine.
That's good.
I don't think that's warming up. That should be on. Mr. Redden, I have my technology person here this evening. It's just on now.
Brendan, you might have to help them.
Yeah, exactly.
After comes
There we
to,
go.
comes
What's
to
gonna
Phelan.
happen when there's no Joe Phelan around?
Florence. Perfect.
Well, first, thank you for inviting us to share the work of the Site Council and the work of our Collycott staff and our school community. We also want to thank the school committee this evening for all of your support for the new initiatives that we were able to implement this year. What was interesting was that we found that we had to just about rewrite our whole school improvement plan because we had accomplished so many of the goals due to the advancement budget initiative. So we were very, very pleased about that. I would also like to thank Principal John Redden for being here to support us, along with our ELA and math curriculum coordinator, Holly Concanon. And not only are they here to support us this evening, but they are here to support us every day in our efforts to have positive outcomes for our students. So I think I'm going to let the council introduce themselves because they have some very interesting things to say about themselves.
Hi, I'm Maureen Driscoll. I have 4 children, 3 of which are in the Collycott School. My oldest, Jefferson, is in 5th grade. My daughter, Caroline, is in 3rd grade. And my son, Luke, is in 1st grade. And my youngest, Dylan, will be starting kindergarten next year.
Hi, my name is Gretchen Duffy, and I have 2 children in the school. I have my daughter Caroline is in 2nd grade in the French program, and my son Joe is in kindergarten and will be entering the English STEM program in 1st grade next year.
Good evening. My name is Fatima Bourras. I'm a teacher at Collycott. I teach 1st grade French immersion.
Hello, my name is Julia Ostrowski. I teach 3rd grade English at Collycott, and I've been with the Milton Public Schools for 9 years.
Hi, good evening. My name is Margot Tansey, and I just want to give you a little background on myself and why I'm on the committee. My husband Joe and I have lived in Milton for nearly 40 years. We raised our 2 children, Melissa, age 34, and Jay, age 29, on Governor's Road. To give you a little context on why I'm here tonight, it's this. I believe that our children are realizing great achievements today thanks in part to the Milton Public School System. More specifically, they both attended Collycott Elementary School, where we extend gratitude and appreciation to former Principal Bill Griffin and his team for the work that they did in providing the strong foundation for future success. It really was a fabulous elementary school back then, and I am thrilled to say and see that it continues to be just as fabulous today under Janet Sheehan's leadership. As a Milton resident and recently retired 1st grade and kindergarten teacher from the Situate Public School Systems, I continue to be interested in the current and future success of our schools. It is with great pride that I serve on the Collycott Schools Site Council. I may not have school-age children anymore, but my neighbors do, and I want the best for these children and future children in Milton.
Hi, my name is Patty Facey. I have 3 children in the Milton Public Schools. A son, Jack, in 6th grade at Pierce, who went to Collycott. A 2nd grader in English at Collycott. She's in the Collycott-Cunningham combined class. And I have a preschooler in the integrated preschool program at Collycott. So.
And I'm Janet Sheehan, principal. I also, along with our other thank yous, we wanted to be sure to thank our PTO and the MFE, who have also been very much responsible for supporting all of the initiatives, and they're behind all of the goals of our school improvement plan.
So I think each member of the school committee has a copy of our presentation tonight, and we're going to be reviewing the 2013 MCAS data and analysis of that, and our school improvement plan and initiatives to meet those goals, the measured progress, and we're going to end with Collycock Cardinals in action.
So I know that we have reviewed some of the data over the course of the school year, but we will touch upon some of that and review some of that data that has already been shared with you. This is our accountability data report, and this report tells us that we are a level 1 school because we are on target for meeting our closing the proficiency gap goals. This also tells us that we have been commended in 3 areas this year. We've been commended for high achievement, high growth, and for closing proficiency gaps. The report also gives schools a percentile, and that number is 90% for the Collycott School this year. And schools that have 4 years of data are compared to like schools around the structure of those schools. So we're compared to other like schools that might be pre-K to 5 structures. While the accountability report does not report on our subgroups, we are going to share some of that data. We have also included the certificate of commendation from the Commissioner and from the Secretary of Education. And we are very proud to display this. We'd like to note that in 2011, the Collycott was recognized and was a commendation school, but recognized in one area, and that was for high progress. In 2012, we were recognized in 2 areas, and we're also named a commendation school. And we were recognized for high progress and narrowing proficiency gaps. So in 2013, we also were recognized now for high achievement. So we've been recognized in all 3 areas, and the Collycott is one of 48 schools in the state that received a commendation. And those schools include middle schools and high schools. So we are, thank you, we are proud to report that this evening, to share that.
This is a summary of the overall school performance. Our median student growth percentile is in the higher growth and higher achievement quadrant of school achievement and growth analysis. And overall, the improvement over 4 years when looking at all our students. This shows the trend in English language arts in grade 3 and 5 over the past 4 years, and some improvement in grade 4 and 5. Actually, to talk about that slide 7, for grade 1, we had a score flat over 4 years, but next year we are going to have new initiative. This year we had the first and second grade with the focus on assessment and reading, language and math. And next year we'll do the same for grade 3 also. In mathematics and science and technology engineering, we see an increase of 12% or more over the past 4 years in grade 4 and 5 students scoring in advanced proficiency.
I would just like to add that in your packets that you received of the presentation, we did make an adjustment to the grade 4 bullet there. The point was awkward, and we just tried to make it a little bit clearer. So over 3 years, we saw an increase from 66 to 86%. And I think that we had originally noted that it was over 4 years, the scores went to 78%, but actually there was a dip in the 4th year, so it went from from 76% to, 66% to 86% with a dip in that fourth year. So we just wanted to clarify that, and we did change the language on that. So here we wanted to share the data on the subgroups. And we see positive trends. If you take a look at the low-income group, for example, over the course of 4 years, we see a trend that is positive in both ELA and math. We see the same for students with disabilities. The ELL percentage of students scoring in advanced and proficient is inconsistent, but the subgroup was so small. So for example, in 2011, we had only one student who took the ELA MCAS. And there were 2 students that year who took the math ELA MCAS. One of them was excused because it was her first year in the program. So that 0% indicates that one student scored in the needs improvement. So it is, it can be a challenge to try to interpret data for such a small subgroup.
May I enter in? The school committee has heard how the principals and the coordinators are taking the data, and when you look at the first slide, the subgroup isn't large enough to delineate on the material that's given us from the state. So I have to applaud the principals, the coordinators, the teachers. You hear Principal Sheehan talking about 1 child, 2 children, so that they're actually looking at the data for every single child, every single student, and breaking out those subgroups and paying attention to the progress of each of those subgroups and every child that they're responsible for in their schools. I want to compliment you for that work.
Thank you. We recognize that we still have more work to do, but we are very pleased with, again, with the positive trends, and we're going to keep at it.
This slide, can you hear me? This slide shows our ELA MCAS scores, analysis really, and it's by learning standard. So you can see over the 3 grades, grade 3, 4, and 5, that the strengths and weaknesses. Multiple choice was an evident strength, and the open responses are clearly a challenge. What we do as a whole school at staff meetings and then also with our grade level teams is we take a deeper look into the questions down to the test item, so we can kind of get more insight into what's going wrong. And for example, when you see in grade 3 the challenge conventions of standard English, when we took a look at that with our staff at our staff meeting, we found that some of the things the kids were having problems with were proper nouns and contractions, so we can get very specific down to what the problems were. And this is a very similar slide showing the results of the strengths and weaknesses for the math MCAS. And you can see here continued, multiple choice continues to be a strength, and the open response for grades 4 and 5 continues to be a challenge. And we'd like to point out that our scores do exceed the state average score, but we would clearly like to see more improvement in these areas. So then we thought about, once we have all this data, what do we do next? So we know we take a look at every child who has scored in the needs improvement or warning categories, and then we take the children who also haven't made benchmarks in reading, such as the Scholastic Reading Inventory. Those are reading comprehension tests for grades 3, 4, and 5. So we identify them, and we put them on individual student success plans, which I'll talk about in just a minute. And that provides a little more insight into what their struggles are. And we also provide extended day learning. We just finished up a series of ELA clubs, and we'll be just starting some math clubs for extended day before school and after school. Having been able to participate in teaching one of those, I found it was really helpful to have all the student data together in a clear, concise way and be able to provide some targeted instruction for those children. So this This slide tells about what an individual student success plan is. And basically, the teachers take a look at their whole class. They identify the students and what their priority areas of concern are. And we list out some strategies that we've been using and some plans that we'd like to put in place. I feel that these are really good from a teaching perspective, not just for those ELA clubs that we were just talking about, but also to come together as a grade level when we look at these documents and having everything in one place. With our grade level team, we're able to kind of talk about students that across our classrooms that we maybe never would have talked about before, and come up with some team-based strategies to help them. So it's really been a nice benefit.
So, once we have looked at a review of the data, we'd like to share our school improvement goals with you, and we're just going to highlight some of those goals, summarize those goals, but just wanted to note that they are not only they're not only developed based on the data that we have, but also on the district core values, as well as the district initiatives, which are emphasizing early literacy achievement, closing the proficiency gap, and advancing science and STEM. Of course, I don't need to tell you what they are. So what we've done is we've highlighted those goals that are linked to the district initiatives, and would like to share those with you.
Slide, it's high academic achievement for all students. Reading specialist support and curriculum materials to support Reader's Workshop are important goals this year, along with continuing our STEM initiative in grade 2. We're focusing on supporting other grades in science, and this picture you can see is science from scientists in action in grade 5. This has been a successful pilot so far, and it has lots of parent volunteer commitment. It has scientists from the field coming in every other Friday to work with the teachers. And last week there was a lesson on geology. They've come in and done lessons on circuits. So it's been very successful so far. And the next slide. And here you see on the left a grade 2 teacher administrating the Fountas and Pinnell reading assessment. The advancement budget this year allowed us to purchase kits for progress monitoring assessments. And also on the right, you'll see a grade 1 French teacher administrating a reading assessment. She's sitting right here with us. You can see by these goals that there's a considerable focus on student assessment, and this allows the teachers to better plan individualized instruction for their students, just like Julie was talking.
So I will explain to you why I wanted to take this slide. So we know that our goals have quite a focus on assessment and student engagement. And I just wanted to point out that I wanted to talk about the daily assessment that teachers do in order to plan appropriate instruction and differentiated instruction. So I had walked into this 5th grade classroom, Miss Lohan's class, and it was a few weeks ago, and the children, maybe longer, the children were working on the Lincoln Essay Contest. So they were doing their writing. And when I walked into the classroom, I knew that I had to leave and get my camera, because the level of student engagement was such that it was just a great example of differentiated instruction. So I asked the teacher after, or during, what was happening with the different groups. So the teacher, when I walked in, when I came back, was working on the first slide. She is in the corner on the French teacher's computer with a student. And on the 3rd slide, there is another student at her desk using her computer. Another student is on a single computer, and then you have a group of students to the right here on Chromebooks. In the middle slide, you see a group of students on the floor without computers, and then others at desks. And you also see back in the first slide a student by herself on the floor working on a poster. So what had happened the previous day was that the teacher talked about brainstorming for the Lincoln essay, and some of the students were so enthusiastic about it that they wanted to go home and work on it. The teacher went online, they created a Google Doc of all of their writing, and the teacher gave the children feedback that night. So some of them came into class the next day, actually with their edits from the teacher the previous night, and a couple of them actually had finished their essay. So the student who was working along with the poster was actually preparing an activity for the whole class to use for the study of word masters. And the girls on the floor are still, they were doing peer editing, while the others were at different places with their essays. So I just thought it was a great example of how teaching and learning has changed, and just the use of the technology from one day to the next really impacted these students and motivated them in their writing.
Additional goals focus on excellence in the classroom, including best practices, professional development, and integration of technology. The picture on the left. Sorry, that's okay. Okay, so the picture on the left shows preschoolers using tools to develop fine motor skills, and those were purchased through an MFE grant. The other picture shows students participating in the Hour of Code, which opened doors for many of our students this year who have pursued coding activities beyond the Hour of Code campaign.
So in this slide, we're showing what we feel are good examples of communication and collaborative relationships. So last month, the Collycott and Cunningham PTO joined together to present on some parent education topics. And they had a nutritionist discussing healthy eating. The adjustment counselor came and gave a presentation regarding social issues and social struggles and challenges and friendships that children might experience in school. And the curriculum coordinator, Holly Concannon, led parents through the Everyday Math Online website so that parents were better able to support the children at home. And parents were rotating through various stations, and it was an excellent turnout. I think there was about 50 parents and a lot of buzz about what a great program it was, and hopefully some more like it in the future.
One of our goals is respect for human differences, and you can see again this year we celebrated the Lunar New Year, and it was an effort that literacy and creative art while promoting cultural awareness. The picture in the middle is actually a cooperation with the Codeman Academy. We came into second grade French classes and engaged in collaborative activities. Our third picture is actually the book we selected this year for One Book, One School event. I think it's about our 4th year we're doing that. And also a Connect Literacy activity with theme promoting diversity awareness. And we have to, again, thank our incredible Collycott parents to really help the teacher to organize all that and just to be so enthusiastic about whatever we do in Collycott.
Here we highlight goals for innovative programs. You can see students engaging in outdoor classroom activities with the naturalists from Mass Audubon. Students also explore our nature trail, which is just steps away from the council ring. A bulletin board displays graphs of student participation in Study Island, which is a highly motivating tool for supporting the math curriculum. Finally, we have second graders proudly showing off their alligators constructed through the We Do Robotics program. They have programmed these to move with their mouths. What happens after the data analysis, goal setting, and program implementation? Going forward, how do we monitor student progress? How do we measure the effectiveness of advancement initiatives for early literacy achievement and for closing the proficiency gap? And how do we know we have met goals for school improvement?
So we thought that we would just share a snapshot of some of the assessments that we have administered this year. I do want to thank Mrs. Concanon for helping us with these particular slides and helping us with the data. So we have, these are combined French and English. This is combined data for French and English classes. And this represents our students who scored proficient and not proficient on the benchmark tests. So we see in first grade, as of our March assessments, we have 86% of students meeting the benchmark. We have really focused in on those students who have not yet met proficiency. Our reading specialists are increasing their support of these students, and we are really closely monitoring these students. We do anticipate that these numbers will change by June. We see quite an improvement in student scoring in the proficient students who were proficient and met the benchmarks in grade 2. In grade 3, we also see progress. And of course, as of grade 3 now, this is the Scholastic Reading Inventory data that we're representing. Grade 4. And here is our grade 5 data.
Wow.
So we wanted to share the 9 characteristics of high-performing schools. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Tansey.
These 9 characteristics of high-performing schools are based on 20 studies conducted by educational researchers that found common threads among successful schools. These continue to serve as a guide as we strive for excellence in teaching and learning.
So we're closing with a Wordle, which is a word cloud of all of the, not all, but most of the events and I would say learning initiatives this year at the Collicott. And we just thought we'd put it into this fun Wordle. We use these sometimes at some of our school assemblies. Some of the language in our parent handbooks, parent-student handbooks on bullying. If we take the text and you just plug it into the Wordle, and it makes kind of a fun word cloud. So this is the kind of thing that sometimes we'll share with students at assemblies. So we thought it would be nice to close with a Wordle on some of the things that have been happening at the Collicott. And our council has put together a slideshow that we'd like to close with. And Julie will just put that on for us. And while we're waiting for that to go on, I do want to thank the council members who have worked so hard in helping us to implement our school improvement goals this year. They are a very hard-working, dedicated council. So thank you to all of you.
Maybe put the mic at the sound.
By the speaker, so that people at home could hear.
The box, I think.
to Gretchen Duffy and Maureen Driscoll for that.
School committee members? Mr. Zulus?
Sure. Well, congratulations, Janet, and all of you and all of your staff on all of your success. You certainly have a lot to be proud of. One question that I have, at some of the other elementary schools, we see kind of a lag in the grade 4 scores, and I think we see that district-wide and perhaps statewide. I was unable to glean from the data that you presented whether you have a similar lag. If you don't, the question is, why don't you? And maybe we can replicate that. And if you do, is it just similar to the other scores that we've seen in the district in grade 4?
Well, what I would say is that we have, in ELA, we have seen a slight increase in the scores. We would like to see more students in the advanced proficient categories. So I think that we do have similar trends, the other schools. We did see a slight improvement this year in ELA in grade 4. And I think that everyone across the district is working on Reader's Workshop initiatives. And of course, the focus this year has been on first and second grade, so I think that we look forward to increasing the support and professional development as we go forward. But yes, we did see some improvement, but I think that the practices are pretty consistent and are shared district-wide. And I don't think that the improvement is that significant that, I would like to be able to report that. But it's, we did see an improvement trend. In math, we did see it, actually, when I think of grade 4 this year, actually, no, it was it last year that we saw the dip? Anyway, in math this year, we did see a dip in those 4th grade scores. But 4th is not as flat as 3rd grade is. And again, we're looking forward to increased professional development and more support at that grade level.
Thank you.
Mrs. Kelly?
Great things are happening at Cullycock. Congratulations to all of you. That video, was it? No, slideshow, whatever it was really, it just gave you a great flavor about all the great things that are happening there. So I have a couple of questions. The first is the individual student success plan. I may be losing it, and I probably am, but that's the first time I've heard that description, and I love it. As opposed to, I think we've heard maybe response to intervention plans, but I just love how, I don't know who coined the phrase, and again, I'm not sure whether other elementaries are doing the same thing, but I just love it. It's fabulous, and I just think it probably creates a great environment for children, parents, and teachers to all sort of gain the same focus on whatever needs to be helped out a little bit. So can you just speak to that a little bit?
Well, believe it or not, that term came from the Department of Education.
Oh, there you go.
But it originated a number of years ago when underperforming schools were required to create success plans for students. But it was something that we, along with our coordinators this year, put into place, and it's been very helpful not only for the classroom teachers, but for those teachers working with the children in the extended day learning program. So those teachers who worked with our children in the for the ELA club most recently, who did not know these children. Some of them, we had a 5th grade teacher working with 3rd graders, so these plans were very helpful. And we're in the process of updating them right now because we have we're updating the plans with our mid-year math assessments, and we're getting ready for our math clubs to begin before and after school.
And if I might, to Member Kelly has asked, and for our first meeting in May, all of the principals and the coordinators are coming, and they're going to share all the assessment data for the district in language arts and some in math, and those common threads that have succeeded in schools.
Can I just follow up on that? That was a point that I wanted to talk about too, because I love that you're doing, that you went back to do the ISIPs. And I think that my question was really around how is that information shared with students and how is it shared with parents? And I heard you say that you're updating it now, so is that an ongoing communication with parents?
Actually, it really is a tool that we use for planning instruction, although I think that that would be something that we could consider as we move forward. I do know that the parent communication has improved this year by the very fact that we have increased all of our assessments. So that assessment piece has made it much easier for teachers to communicate with parents. They have more information about children. So I think that that's just another piece. Even just the fact that we let parents know, I think that we have a plan for their children, I think would be good communication. But we're not quite there yet, but we are, using them as a tool in the classroom right now and for our extended day learning. Good suggestion, though.
Did you want to talk about that as well?
No.
Okay, sorry.
And then the science program in the 5th grade, is that unique to Collycott or are all 5th grades
It's
doing it?
being piloted at the Collycott and Cunningham right now.
It looks fabulous.
Funded by the MFE.
Well, there you go.
Sam's.
And,
From
actually,
the SAMS fund with the MFE is piloting at the Collycott Cunningham and then rolling out to all the schools next year in the 5th grade. And so, do you want to speak to the program about the scientists and how often the program visits?
Sure. It's my understanding that the program began with an MIT graduate who put this together and is working with districts in the Boston area. And we have a scientist who comes in her white lab coat every other week, and she really serves to co-teach with the teacher, but she has the real, very strong content knowledge. And the children have their lesson. They work in cooperative groups. We have parents who have committed to the program. They volunteer every other week, so they come in too. So we have plenty of people in the classroom. We've recently had some school committee visitors to see the program in action. So we're very excited about it.
That's great.
And very well received.
Thanks. Mrs. Patera.
So I just have two things. First of all, I don't know, we've had this, the additional reading assessment data presented before, and, it's always looked really, really great, but yours is kind of great right at the beginning. And I don't know if, if you looked at that, because it does seem like there's a significant improvement from September to March, but even in the 1st grade, it seems like the kids are pretty high already. Have you looked at, with other elementary schools, why that is, and, what we can do to improve that at other schools? Because that's significant.
Well, since this is the first year, we don't have a baseline for the Fountas and Pinnell, but I can tell you that we do have, actually 2 veteran teachers who have really embraced the Reader's Workshop model of instruction. We have, they actually, they're consistent with the phonics instruction. I think that is happening in all of the schools, and so I'm not really sure what the data in the other schools looks like for the 1st grade. We were actually discussing why the number only went from 14 to 12, went from 12% to 14% of our students who are not proficient. So we're really focusing in on those children. But yes, we were pleased that we had a high number meeting the benchmark initially. But I think what will happen over time is that we might change the benchmarks. So because again, this is our 1st year, we might adjust those benchmarks to present more of a challenge for the children.
All right. And then, did you?
I was just on the same point. Is it possible that could have something to do with the kindergarten? That those students are coming up, because it's the 1st grade numbers, that they're coming up from the Collycott kindergarten? Is it possible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's September, so the 1st grade isn't what, you almost have to look at the preparation. It'd either be kindergarten or the preschool, and I don't know if, having the preschool there, if you have some of those students there, but I was just curious. And then the other thing I just wanted to see if you could talk a little bit about was the, under the, I think it was the risk-taking, the small group study, the faculty small group study, using small group instruction. No, only a second, tell you which slide it is. It's under risk-taking and innovation. Oh, I'm gonna have to look. Just had it.
22.
22, thank you, Mr. Lewis. Form a teacher study group to examine best practices in making the most of small group instruction.
Yes, we had a group of, would you say, oh,
Sorry.
Fatima actually, and along with one of our other special education coordinators, Megan Gavin, thought it would be really great to start a book club, professional book club for teachers. So it was a class that we could join up for. And I don't know how you selected the book. Did you want to talk about how that was selected?
Actually, under the
Oh.
guidance of Janet.
Mrs. Sheehan. But it was really great. So we met once a week on Mondays. We had read chapters in advance, and then we had a chance to sit together in our grade levels and kind of talk about how could we put this into action in the class. And it was really well led by Fatima and Megan Gavin. And it was a really nice opportunity for teachers to come together professionally around a professional book. And it's something that we use in the classroom. I have it right beside my desk. And I refer to it a lot. It's great.
And again, we need to thank our PTO for sponsoring us and getting those books for us. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
would you say we had about 18 teachers who participated? We had quite a response.
That was great. Thank you.
And that's before school?
After school.
After school, wow. So you really kind of glossed over this grade 5 data that is just, it's amazing, it's mind-boggling that you have 2% of your 5th grade students who are not at proficiency. I mean, that is just every principal, every teacher's dream to have that kind of data sitting in front of you, and I think that really sums up what Collicott is doing, because it's a cumulative work that's happening. Everyone plays a role in that. These 5th graders didn't wake up one morning and all of a sudden, we're proficient. It's the amazing work that's happening starting in kindergarten all the way through, and so you're to be commended for all this work. And obviously you have been commended by your awards on the MCAS data, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? Do we have any alums from Collicott School? Did any of you go to Collicott? Well, thank you so much.
Excellent work. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Collicott. Very briefly, we had Jackie Morgan here at our last school committee meeting, and the day after Jackie presented, we received a letter in the mail that Jackie
Sorry, can I just follow up?
Absolutely.
Just in general. 2 things. The first is, and, I may be dating myself, but, I can remember sitting in elementary in lined desks, and you sat there, and everyone read the same book, and, the teachers talked to you up in the front. And I think education has changed so dramatically at all levels, but most profoundly at the elementary level, that, and I don't know whether it's possible to do this, if we could even get, an hour's worth of elementary classrooms that we could videotape, just to be able to show the community, because I think all the members of Milton know that we have great public schools, but I don't know that everybody understands how education in general has changed. And, it goes to the teachers that do this day in and day out, that have multiple little groups of students in all different subjects that they're constantly juggling and moving and assessing. And it just is monumental what teachers do day in and day out. And I think if somehow we could present, and granted, I think there's issues around whether children can be shown on TV or whatever, but I just think it would be fabulous for the community to understand what everyone does day in and day out at the, in the classroom. So anyways, that's number one. And then the other, just in terms of talking about proficient and non-proficient in our assessments. Number one, do we have more than just proficient and non-proficient, i.e. are there those, groups? So that's what I'd love to hear in the next presentation. But also,
I think you're going to find it very informative.
to recognize, because I think Superintendent Gormley, you've said this multiple times, that, not all children will achieve proficiency in the same time. And so to expect that every first grader will be at first grade level, at first grade is not realistic. And you don't want to set up, you want everyone to aspire to what they can achieve to, but you don't want people thinking that, I have to be proficient, because sometimes it just takes people different pathways to get to that place. And I think sometimes when we talk about these results, talking about that aspect of it might be beneficial so that we don't.
So it's like you were with us last week when we visited the Glover, and we were looking at individual children, and they may not have been a proficient in making benchmark, but they came up 2 levels since the first day of school. So the message is, they may not have been with us, to your point, in kindergarten, but they're breaking the code, and so you might look at another child who's still at A. And so what are the needs of that child? What are the issues? But when a child hasn't been with us, or to my point, nowhere does it say everyone breaks the code in the first month of first grade. But if you see progress being made, so when we sit down with this data, that's a very powerful aspect. At the Glover, they said to me, you don't have to worry about those 3 children, because they may not be a proficient, Mary, but they've come up 3 levels in these months in school. So that's when we have this presentation and made all the work that you wanted to be done, that you lobbied to support financially, when you hear parents talk about the advancement initiatives and they understand and they support them, I think you're going to find it very powerful. But it's interesting that Ms. Kelly asked about the video. When you think Principal Sheehan sees something in her school and goes and gets a camera to snapshot, we will follow up with that idea.
Is it okay to speak from here?
Yes.
This was a new teacher too, and I was just so impressed. I had to go and get it. But if I could just add one thing before we go, that these we are very proud of the assessment data, but that is just one snapshot, because our ELA standards cover reading, writing, listening, speaking, and language, and that's reading. That's a snapshot of one reading assessment. So we have many other assessments that we have to look at, and it doesn't tell the whole story, but it tells part of the story, and it's nice to share. Thank you.
We'll follow up on that, Ms. Kelly.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Zulus?
So just one quick point on the videotaping, and this is a bit of a personal aside, if you'll permit me just momentarily. I have a daughter in kindergarten, and she talked about the centers, how they go to, we'd ask her, what did you do today? And she'd say, well, she started the year, we have math center and we have a lay center. And I said, oh, a lay center, that must be some newfangled educational thing, a lay. I wonder what that is. And throughout the several months, I'd say, well, what did you do today? Well, at math centers we do this, and a lay center we do this. And that's interesting. I wonder what that. So just last week, I was a mystery reader, and I went in, and I was walking around, and she said, oh, this is the ELA Center, and it's ELA. Finally, so if I had a videotape, I would have known that LA Centers was ELA.
That's a wonderful story.
Maybe.
Brings it all home.
It even takes school committee members a while to break the code.
He's breaking the code, though.
Thanks for sharing.
Well said. So the next morning, Jackie Morgan has been awarded the 2014 Massachusetts Director of the Year Award as the School Nutrition Director. So big round of applause. That happened the morning after she came. We could have announced it here. Today, we got a wonderful email that middle school social studies teacher Owen McElhaney, who is near and dear to anyone who has had a child go through the PS school has been accepted to the George Washington Institute. This national program is offered through the Massachusetts Department of Education. He will go away this summer with other history teachers and do science and study in Washington, D.C. Competitive program, and he was awarded that. This is a very exciting, excuse me?
Maybe do history.
Did I say do history?
You said do science.
Oh, do science, yeah. He's going to do history. Jumping to science, this is very exciting news. We have, as a result of Marilyn Decker's work last year, this week, the National Science Institute Science Conference is in Boston. So this is a chance of a lifetime. I'm being reported in that there are quite a few substitutes in the building, but the opportunity to go to the National Science Conference when it's in Boston, and we have teachers that are going, and they're going all weekend. But really exciting is that we have teachers who are presenting at the National Science Institute Conference. Bernadette Moonen from the middle school, our elementary science coordinator Bernadette Moonen, Amy Tom from the high school, Carrie O'Leary from the Collycott, Leah Campbell from the Glover, and Mary Bobkin from the Glover are all presenting at the National Science Conference in Boston. Equally exciting, every year there's a Massachusetts Reading Association Conference, very competitive for which teachers are going to be able to attend. And this year from the Tucker, we have Kat DeRoche, Kristen Fennell, Valerie Kelly, and Liz Spitz, who you met here from the Site Council. They're presenting at the Massachusetts State Reading Conference. So very, very exciting news. Then another email came in today that on our Wellness Committee, if Ms. Begley-Jones was here, she'd be so proud. We have a representative from Safe Routes to Schools and advocating for bicycling and a statewide conference. We got word today, I wish Collycott had stayed. Sarah Reese Killian won first place in the poster composition. She's going to win a bike, a helmet, and a light. And it's second place from the Glover, Maeve Cochran, a helmet and a light. So 3 winners across the whole state, and 2 of them came from Milton. I want to remind parents and guardians that tomorrow is an early release day for the entire system, the second for elementary and middle, the third out of 4 for the high school. Saturday, our future problem solving, you met all of our future problem solvers, 2 Pierce and I don't want to say the wrong school. 2 Pierce and 1 elementary team made the finals, and they're going to be competing at Babson College on Saturday. So
Superintendent Gormley, it's Tucker.
Tucker, excellent. Tucker, they're competing. Does anyone remember the topic? Statewide topic?
I think it might be transportation. I'm not sure. And there's some individuals competing as well, but the teams are 2 from the Pierce and 1 from the Tucker.
Very exciting. That's going to be a long day from dawn to dusk. They're there with their coaches. Up on the web tomorrow, you'll be able to see that at every school, a different approach this year is having their own art fair. So I would encourage you to look at those art fairs. They're running to facilitate working families around dinner time, so when parents can come home, on their way home, they can go into those art fairs. The MFE celebration coming up on April 12th, and Run for Red Nation, April 13th. And next Monday, Jonathan Redden was here with us tonight. Our summer school brochure will go out to every Milton Public School family. So many families have called, and they're making their plans for the summer, and you'll be able to register online, and that will be going out next week. On April 28th, circle your calendar. The deadline has gone by, but the MFE Teacher of the Year Awards, and the MFE now meets, and they go over every application, and they keep it a secret. They might tell me the day before, and they will go into the rooms and the day before the announcements, and I'll tell you, we invite the school committee members. It takes the breath away when you walk into a classroom. Have any of the 3 of you been in a room when a teacher was named the Teacher of the Year from the MFE? That's a treat. Maybe you get it before you graduate.
You never know.
In many of the elementary classes, we go in, and I think the children understand why we're there, because they've been in a classroom before the teacher's conscious of why these 9 adults are there with balloons and cake and an award. So it's wonderful how they recognize our teaches. And at the school committee last week, the school committee had asked, and we're in the midst of planning when our informational meeting about our elementary STEM program will be. We had discussions whether that will be one program at each school or a district-wide. Last year, we had a district-wide night, and we're in the midst of planning that. When that's planned and a night has been identified, we'll put that out to all families in the Milton Public Schools. Thank you.
Can I just add one more thing in?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to be doing this a lot. The rugby team started off their season last Friday night under the lights. We won 34-8 against Lincoln Sudbury. It's a state championship defending team, so we're very excited to start off our new season.
Excellent, thank you.
And I think we had a national, I know we had our Jonathan Carrera wrestler placed 6th in nationals. So that's very exciting, and they're going to join us.
And so Jonathan was invited tonight, but he had a previous engagement, and so Member Walker had asked for the wrestling team to come back, so they're going to come back in May. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Crumley. So under my report, I'd just like to quickly note, you can see my T-shirt, but just to recognize that this is National Autism Awareness Month, and the theme is Lighted Up Blue. So if you're driving around town and you see blue lights outside of people's homes or in their windows, that's because they're supporting autism awareness, and just wanted to put that out there. We have, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of our vendor warrant. It's warrant number 40, and the date was April 3rd. The amount is $65,744.89. I'll entertain a motion to. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Padera, seconded by Mr. Zulus. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. And we will look at, we have a very busy remainder of the year for our school committee calendar, but I just wanted to go over the last few meetings, and I know, Mrs. Kelly, you would ask for some upcoming things, topics to be covered, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone had their eyes on it and was sure that everything was being addressed that had been requested. So our next meeting is our reorganization meeting. That will be on April 30th. And we'll also talk about the budget. Were there any other items that we wanted to have? Mr. Zulus, you have something you want to add to that?
Yes, we may have an interim recommendation from the town school consolidation committee at that time, and so I recognize that it's an organizational meeting, but if we could take that up briefly, that may help us out with our timing.
The reorganization piece takes about 10 minutes, if that. So there's plenty of time there to do that.
Did
Anything
that
else?
get sent out? Because I don't seem to have it.
It's in the
Did we not put it
packet.
in your packet?
Oh, I didn't even open my packet. I'm online here. so, you know. I don't think it's online, but anyway. that's okay.
Well, you know what, it was
Sorry.
added to the agenda, so
Okay.
maybe it wasn't in there, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Then on May 14th, we have science advancement update, and then the elementary literacy assessment presentation. We'll have a school choice open hearing and some awards. Anything else that people?
I believe that we would have to add to that May 14th, the school choice vote, or is the vote at the following meeting?
The open hearing and vote, probably.
Yeah, it can be both.
Yeah.
Thank you
Glad
for
that.
catching that, Ms. Gormley. Then we also, the week before that, we have town meeting for at least 3 nights, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, May 5th, 6th, and 8th. Maybe the next week, maybe not. And then May 21st, we have another meeting where we'll look at our fiscal year 15 budget and get our strategic plan update. Are there any other questions or things you'd like to have added?
Just, and I'm not sure whether this would fit into the strategic plan whenever that comes on, sort of into fruition, but the whole Common Core discussion, I think it's worth putting an agenda at some point where we can talk about how we're aligned or not aligned, or want to go beyond the Common Core, what are the requirements in terms of text materials and supplies to get where we need to be, et cetera. So just sort of that broader topic.
We'll target that strategic plan and not strategic plan on May 21st.
And Common Core information. I was thinking of that tonight, actually, Mrs. Kelly, when they did their presentation, that there's so much information about Common Core that, I mean, we could be here for nights and nights just talking about it, but just, you want an overview of what the standards are, how
Well,
they're.
I mean, I think there's definitely discussion as to whether Common Core is the right way to go. I don't know whether we, as a committee, have had a discussion on that and said, yes, this is the way to go. And to your point, I don't know what I don't know, so I don't know how big and broad the topic would have to be. But I guess one of my concerns is that our curriculum previously was always held in a very high regard. And there is some discussion that says that going to Common Core in some areas is actually bringing the standard down a bit. And so I guess I would hope that Milton would look at those areas where there's opportunity to perhaps keep the standard where it was, whether that means, there's some Common Core aspect of it that needs to be addressed, I'm not sure, but I guess those are the kinds of things that I'm interested in talking about.
And there are standards that the state has recognized are weak and that they've added in, Common Core state standards. So we have our own individual standards as well. So, thank you. And then on June 4th, we have the PAC coming back. And our retiree reception. Are there any other agenda items that you think that we need to be considering?
I know that we're piloting the park testing this year, so maybe, I don't know where that falls, when that's happening, but a report on, obviously we won't have scoring, but a report on how that went logistically.
Absolutely.
Added to one of those meetings.
And on June 11th, the superintendent's end-of-the-year report and our volunteer reception. So that would take us up through the end of this year. Just wanted to be sure that there wasn't anything that we were missing in terms of scheduling topics that people want to cover. So thank you for your input in that.
One more note on my evaluation. Mr. Walker and I have met with Courtney Walsh, and we're just adjusting, making sure that we have the right numbers for some of the goals. So I told you last week you'd get that the next day, but we've met 4 times since then, and we're close to settling on the numbers, and then you will get the edited, updated version. Work in progress.
Thank you for all that work, Ms. Gormley.
And to Mr. Walker and to all of you, and Mr. Walker took all of your ideas and incorporated them into the edits, and Courtney Walsh working with us.
Thank you. Old business, citizen speak topic responses. I actually was going to talk about the request that was made last week. Ms. Gormley already covered that under her happenings. Is there anything else comments that people want to make? Our next meeting agenda items, well, I think we just covered that, so we're good. All right, and we've deleted executive session, so do you have something else you want to say? Citizen Speak? Are you here to speak at Citizen Speak? Okay. All right.
Checking.
Thank you. All right, hearing none, no other business, we'll close the meeting. Thank you.